All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another Tuesday Taste Along here on Drums and Drams. Looking forward to tonight. This is an episode or a live stream that has kind of been in the works for a while. A lot of people have been wanting to do rare breed, wild turkey rare breed, on one of these Tuesday Taste Alongs. So that is what we're going to be doing tonight by popular demand. All right, so I put up a poll on YouTube, I don't know, a couple days ago or so. And there were a few options on there. I think it was Woodford, Makers, or maybe Makers Cast Strength, Four Roses Single Barrel, and Wild Turkey Rare Breed. And Rare Breed totally took it home. I think it was at like 51%. And the other 49 or so was split amongst the other three options, with, I believe, Four Roses Single Barrel in a pretty decent second place. So I think the next Tuesday Taste Along, whether that's next week or the week after, is going to be Four Roses Single Barrel. But tonight is all about Wild Turkey Rare Breed, a bottle that used to be a daily sipper for me, you know, something I couldn't get enough of. As I got more and more bottles and stuff like that, I kind of fell away from drinking it. And every time I come back to it, I kind of wonder, like, was I overhyping this thing, or is it really still the great value that everybody talks about it as? Obviously depends on your market, how much you're paying for these things. You know, Rare Breed in my market is now up to $50. That's in Ohio. It is state mandated pricing, so you're not going to find it cheaper than 50. And as this thing creeps up, along with everything else that's out there whiskey wise, you do have to start asking these questions of what's worth it and what isn't. So let me say hey to a few of you guys in chat. As you do enter tonight, as you do jump in here, please hit that like button. Let's get a few more people hanging out this evening to taste along with us on these these rare breeds and these other Russell's products, depending on what you have. You can see I've got some different options here on the table. But as usual, I am warming my palate up right now with a little bit of Eagle Rare, again, a store pick, as I normally do. So that's what's in the glass right now. I've been sipping on this for about 30 minutes so far to try to get my palate warmed up for a barrel-proof evening. So cheers to you guys. Let me know if you're going to sip along with me. Let me know in the chat if that's the case. If not, let me know what's in your glass. I'm going to take a sip now. All right. Let's see who we've got in here. Wow, I have missed a lot of people in the chat. Shredward says, "Is anything Wild Turkey overrated?" I don't know. Maybe. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna try to never give a blanket statement. So I think there's probably a little nuance to just about anything. JG, what's up, man? Tim Robertson agreeing with Shredward. No, I think on the whole, you're probably right. Everything turkey is fantastic. Paul P, Sugar Kitty, who else? Joe, let's see. Joe says, just the bourbon cam, or are you doing comparisons to other Wild Turkey or Russell's Reserve? Let's see how far we get, Joe. I want to be off here by 9 p.m., just out of respect for the bourbon junkies, maybe 9:05, knowing those guys. But we'll do 30 to 35 minutes tops and then get out of here. So if I breeze through these couple of rare breeds that I've got here, we'll see what we get into. Maybe the rare breed rye or something like that. All right, Jake McKee, good to see you. Mark Z, Roy R, Cheech, Ryan, Roy N, Eric, Hendo. Thank you, Hendo, for... I was asking Hendo earlier on Instagram and his DMs about knives. I'm trying to get another knife because I lost the one that Sarah got me. So I was a little bummed about that. JG says, Cam playing through Monty. Jeb here for you. So I need another drink. Guys, on the Drums and Drams Instagram, I was posting the last 2 days. I can't stop listening to Creed. The last 2 days, I've been blast from the past. Creed on repeat. Top 4 songs on Spotify, just on a loop. It's Higher, My Sacrifice, One Last Breath, and whatever. Is it called Arms Wide Open? Is that what the track's called? It doesn't matter. That's what I've been listening to. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm in a phase. Roy says, I've always wondered if there's much variation between the batches of regular rare breed. Well, this is a great point, Roy, and something that I was curious about too. So tonight, actually, good segue. Thank you for that. I have a brand new batch of rare breed. This was bottled on February 28th, 2022. And then I have this older batch, which I've had open for about a year. And this batch just has a laser code, whereas the newer batch not only has a laser code, but also has a bottling date like clearly stamped on it, which is very cool. That's going to help us out a lot, I think. But the older rare breed just says LL/IK. And what that means, I believe, is, let me think about this. Yeah, I believe this is 2020, and then K is what letter of the alphabet? Yeah, so November of 2020 was my old batch of rare breed, and this new batch was February of 22. So just about 2 years apart on these. I'm going to taste the newest batch first tonight, and then I'm going to go on to the older batch and see what that comparison's like, and then again see how far we get into this to other Russell's products and rare breed rye maybe. So I'm going to keep scrolling down, guys. I see a bunch of hello messages. Hello to everybody that's in here. Sorry if I don't call you all out individually, but we do got to get moving here on these Tuesday taste-alongs. We're 3 years from turkey being $36. So 60, under 60 still fair. Yeah. All right, good. I see some people have it already poured out, ready to go. If I miss you, I do apologize. And DC, what's up, man? I see you in here. Okay. So let me get this Eagle Rare out of the way. And like I said, starting with the most recent rare breed that I picked up just the other day, a few pours out of it into my infinity bottle. I let this thing sit open for about an hour earlier just to kind of get some air in the bottle. And obviously I poured this at the beginning of the stream. So let's get into it. If you're sipping along with me, 116.8 is the proof, or 58.4% ABV. All right, here we go. Wow, it's incredible to me on the nose here for this rare breed, just how at 116.8, just how much ethanol comes out of the glass. And I'm not trying to talk smack right off the bat, but it is kind of funny how a sub 120 proof can really hit you in the face with a lot of ethanol. Now, just behind that, to me, is just a lot of citrus. That's kind of the first thing that's jumping out of the glass. Like, yeah, there's some ethanol, definitely some sort of spice component, which I want to drill down into in just a second, but it's not clearly cinnamon or clearly pepper or something like that. I'm just getting ethanol, and then right behind it, citrus. It's like, it's either orange or lemon, some kind of combination of citrus notes. Yeah, I think I'm getting like an orange rind, that kind of a note. Let me know in the chat what you guys are getting. Paul P is given his code here, LL/IJ. Those are the four most important digits. Really, it's just that IJ that matters, which means that yours was probably bottled in October of 2020, I believe. So here's where we are. This is weird, but right now we are in, if those first two digits, LL, disregard those. The next one where you have I, right now, 2022 is K. All right. So then go back to 2020, go back 2 from K is I. And then the next digit, that the J there, what that means is number that it is in the alphabet is what month it is. So J is the 10th letter of the alphabet. So that is October, and then back to I, it means 2020. All right. So October 2020, and then my newest batch is LL/KB. So K is 2022, and then B is the second letter of the alphabet. So that's February. All right, let's get back to the nose. Even in the short time that I've had this, I've been nosing it the last 30 seconds, 60 seconds. I am starting to get some cinnamon jumping out of the glass here, kind of like an atomic fireball kind of cinnamon. It's not super aromatic. It's a little bit like more of a candied or brighter, more generic kind of cinnamon. And then, yeah, like that orange rind in there. You are getting some wood, but it's more of a dry wood to me. Not that funky Russell's 13 type, or even Russell's 10. It's not as dense of a wood quality. It's a spicier, lighter, fresher kind of wood. Yeah, and then I am getting some corn in the background too. So I'm going to jump into the palate here because I think I just need to get this thing on the palate. Typically for me, that helps open up the nose. So cheers to you guys, especially those of you sipping along with a little bit of rare breed of your own. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Palate is so much better than the nose for this, at least for me. This particular batch, again, this is a newer batch, bottled about 8 months ago, a little under 8 months ago. Oh, my God. And the front of the palate is fine. It really stings you up front as it kind of starts to roll back and develop. Get into some more clear-cut spice notes. That cinnamon is really, really present. But as this thing gets into the back palate, into the finish, that's where this thing really shines for me. And maybe that's a reason why I've been less enthralled with rare breed recently, is because I spend a lot of time nosing my whiskey. And I think if this thing is, I don't want to say lackluster on the nose, but not as good as the palate, typically I take a sip and I don't give it a chance as much if the nose isn't good. I really care a lot about how a whiskey noses. I know maybe that's just me, but you want to be drawn in, you know what I mean? Now, I wasn't getting a lot of, like, some people talk about peanuts with different Wild Turkey products. I agree. There is some nuttiness on different turkey products. Russell's 10 has a lot of that for me. Russell's 13 as well. Rare breed, I'm not getting nuttiness on the nose, but when I took a sip of this, there was definitely some sort of a nut quality on the palate. And it's like the least nutty profile between Jim Beam, Heaven Hill, Wild Turkey, if that makes sense. All right, let me check in on the chat, guys. Yeah, I'm not disparaging. Well, I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, Paul says it always comes off ethanol forward. I think when I was using this as a daily or sipping this as a daily, I think I kind of got used to it and I didn't think about it so much, you know? Seems more in sync. It's hilarious. Oh, man. Allison Chains, I see up there. Hendo's drinking some Jack Daniels Barrel Proof. Good choice, man. Oh, I think I saw you post on Instagram right before I went live. Oh, my God. This is a really awesome call out. I love this note. So, like stale brown sugar out of the paper bag. That's such a great note because to me, that relates to when I'm talking about like the wood quality of this and how it's like this weird kind of fresh, bright woodiness. That brown, that like the bag that brown sugar would come in, that makes a lot of sense. That's a great note. I might steal that. I will absolutely say that I stole it if I ever say that in public. Paul's bottle has a lot of nice dark oak notes, not so much fruity. Okay. I'm going to take another sip of this new one, and of course, I'm going to get to the older batch from 2 years ago and see how that compares. Hey, if you guys are just now jumping in here, sipping along some rare breed, please hit that like button. It would help so much. We got 60 in here right now. Let's see if we can get up to 80, 90, 100 before the time the stream wraps up. Just in time for the Bourbon Junkies. All right, let's get another sip of this rare breed. Man, the palate gets so syrupy right in the middle there before it transitions into the finish. And now, second sip, I'm starting to really get into some like funky oak notes. It's strange that didn't hit me in the first sip. It doesn't hit me on the nose with this thing. But the more I sip along with this, I start to get that funky oak. A little bit of a chocolate note is developing. So what's nice about this is that it is darkening the more that I sip it. It's not going flat. A lot of times if a whiskey darkens as you sip along into your second, third, fourth sip, if it darkens, oftentimes it goes flat. The spice falls off. That's not happening here, which is a huge plus for the whiskey. So I like that. I like its development. Again, I'm kind of an impatient drinker. if I'm going to think about, if I'm going to form an opinion about a whiskey, it's like, let me smell it, let me get a couple of sips and form an opinion. This is one, oddly enough, as brash as it is, it's developing nicely. So I honestly didn't expect that, especially on this newer bottle, with people dealing with, distilleries dealing with a shortage of aged whiskey. I thought maybe this newer bottle is really not going to be very good. Fresh crack, ethanol forward, whatever. It's developing very, very well. Jay says, if you're into Creed, you're into nuts. Jay, I wouldn't say I'm into Creed. It's like, it's just like an earworm for me right now. So I'm going through a phase, and it's going to be like a week-long phase, and then it's going to be over. Kilco will take any rare breed that I don't want. Oh, California Rice says, I was just scrolling around. I almost never get nut on the rare breed nose. Yeah, I'm not getting it. Let me know if you guys are. I'm super sensitive to nuttiness, especially peanut shell notes on whiskey. Not getting it on the nose, but on the palate, yes, just a little bit. Rob D says, cheers to the Arcs putting out a new album. What's the Arcs? Should I know who that is? Look it up right now. The Arcs rock band. I do not know the Arcs. I'll have to check them out. Also, rare breed. Thank you, Rob. I wish there was something to give away tonight for your support, but there's not, unfortunately. All right. So let's move on now to this older rare breed. And to me, this is the most interesting part of what I'm going to be doing tonight, is comparing these two rare breeds 2 years apart. Before I get into that, guys, I want to just quickly let you know what's going on this week. So I just, over there on my desk, I wrote out my ideal video release schedule for the next 4 weeks. And I'm going to see if I can stick to this thing. There's a lot of stuff I want to put out. Got a big solo show on November 10th. And between now and then, I have a lot of stuff that I want to put out here on the channel. So keep an eye out for that. The first video, as long as everything goes well, is slated to drop on Thursday, which is going to be a review of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof A122 and B522. It's going to be a Throwback Thursday review in preparation for my C922 review. Quick segue on that. This Thursday's live stream is a 2-part stream. Part 1, Darrell Stewart is going to come on the stream, and he sent me a bucket list pour Michter's 20 year. All right. E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof Batch 7 and 2 blind samples. I sent him 4 different whiskeys as well, 2 blind, 2 unblind. That's going to be the first part of the live stream on Thursday night. And then the second half of the stream, I'm going to be cracking Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C922, Larceny Barrel Proof C922. And as long as it gets here in time, Knob Creek 18. I also have 2 samples from Joe in the chat, a Backbone Uncut pick that Fred Minnick loved, and the Mash and Journey Barrel King pick. Those are also going to happen on the live stream. So it's going to be a really, really awesome stream. And the giveaway, I think, is going to be an Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C922. So quick plug for that. Hit that like button. I know I'm behind on the chat. Let me get into this older rare breed now and see what the nose has on this one. Oh, wow. Wow. So when I smelled it first, without the comparison, it smelled almost exactly the same to me. I went back then to the more recent batch, and I'm getting a ton of like cantaloupe and melon. I don't recall getting so many of those melon notes on rare breed, but this new batch definitely has it. It makes it feel a little more youthful. This older batch from 2020, which has been open about a year in the bottle, and it's getting low. So there's a lot of air that's been in contact with the whiskey. This one is immediately darker on the nose. It's also a little bit flatter, and I would attribute that probably to the amount of air in the bottle and the time that it's been open. Can't be sure, but I would imagine that's the case. Yeah, I get some like pretty distinct barrel char, charred wood notes on this. And whoever said that earlier about getting kind of like dark oakiness on the nose right away, who was that? Let me jump up here and see if I can find it. Yeah, I don't know who it was, but somebody said something about some darker notes. I'm getting that on this older batch for sure. Wow, that is remarkably better. Wow. That is... I mean, that's kind of shocking how much better that batch is. Huh. Holy crap. Like, blackberry on the palate. A really clear chocolate note right away. Dark chocolate. Yeah, there's still some bright cinnamon. But I'm getting more vanilla here. Less citrus. Absolutely no cantaloupe or melon like I'm getting on the newer batch. Wow, that's crazy. The difference on these. Thunder Dan, what kind of glasses? If you look up Highland nosing glass, like a Highland Scotch, Highland nosing glass on Amazon, you'll come across these. You'll recognize the shape on there. You can get them in packs of 2, 4, and 6, I believe. Keith, I'm not sure about this. Are there any, and maybe you guys in the chat know, I'm not a big, like, I love turkey products. I'm not like a turkey historian or anything like that. So are there any notes they look for to say that this is rare breed and not Russell's Reserve? I'm not sure. Tommy, I don't like Nickelback, but ironically, I've been to a Nickelback concert, even though I don't like them. I went with a family member. God, I don't know what year that was. 2005 or 6 or something. Also, somebody said something about NSYNC earlier. I have seen NSYNC live 2 or 3 times when I was growing up as a kid. So guilty as charged. Yeah, Adam, I remember this series. I don't know exactly when that bottle was from. Wow, but this older one is really nice. How do you explain turkey funk, says Hendo? I think rare breed gives people a peek at what it is. I think, to me, rare breed gives it the least. Like a Russell's 10. If somebody picks up a Russell's 10, that's when I'm like, okay, you can get that funk now. Speaking of which, let me just grab it. Okay, now we might get into some other comparison. So, bottom line, at this point in the stream, between the two rare breeds, remarkable difference between the two batches. Unlocking between these in a side-by-side, unlocking some cantaloupe and melon notes. In the newer batch, a lot of heavy citrus, orange rind, bright wood. That brown paper bag and brown sugar note, that's an interesting one. California Rye said that earlier. I'm going to steal it. And the newer batch, immediately darker, blackberry dark chocolate. So that's just the summation. I got to get this hair out of here. It's a little fuzzy. That's the summation of what's going on so far, especially for those of you watching the replay. If you don't want to see any comparisons, you can bail out now. But let's check out the Russell's 10, because I feel like this is where I get the turkey funk, Hendo. Let me put that back on the screen. Yeah, to me, it's Russell's 10 is the easiest way to detect this. I don't know how to describe that. It's a little bit of that musty basement kind of thing, like damp mildew almost. It's a little bit like furniture polish. Yeah, almost like a furniture polish, or kind of like wood, like lacquer, almost a lacquer kind of note. Yeah, that's kind of where I would go with it to describe it. But rare breed, if I'm gonna smell the older batch in particular, which is darker, it might be there. But to me, it's a rare breed's a pretty clean whiskey. It's pretty down the middle and clean, and I think you get into that funk at that 10-year age for the Russell's 10. Mark, this is a great, a wonderfully timed comment, because I was actually just looking at my Traverse City Barrel Proof, because that's on the docket over the next month or so to get a review out, because the distillery sent that to me. And I think I agree with you. That's also very ethanol forward, and it does need something, maybe a rocks glass. Yeah. Yeah, Eric, it hopefully should be a great month to watch it. I'm hoping so. Paul P, if I'm correct on the laser code thing, then this would be a March 2022 bottling. March 2022, because LL/KE is what the Russell's batch 3 is, and that was bottled in May of 2022. So yours is probably bottled in March, I would imagine. And Hendo, this is a great comment. Raybird says there's a ton of 12 here in the 2020. I would believe it. Jeff, I wasn't planning to, but I absolutely can. We've got about up to 8 minutes left in the stream until I officially jump off. I don't want to get, overlapped with the bourbon junkies, but they're usually a few minutes late, I think. Okay, let's see. What's up, Biking Bourbon? Good to see you. Zach Jones says, just took a screenshot. It's not every day you get to watch a Matt Madness champion live. Oh, geez. Bourbon on the Bayou says, was comparing Rare Breed and Elijah Craig Barrel Proof the other night. All I could think was ECBP smelled juicy and Rare Breed was dry. I would agree with that. All right, DC. I don't know, man. I'm actually playing a concert the day before Halloween, and the orchestra is supposed to dress up. And I don't know what I'm going to dress up as. I have no idea yet. So, ooh, Middle West is in Iowa now. If it's not the barrel proof, it's just okay. The newer batches are the new 53-gallon stuff. It's a lighter color. It's going to taste a little bit younger, unfortunately. A little bit of a bubblegum note to it. You might buy one if it's affordable just to give it a try. Over the next couple years, that stuff's going to be a little bit more aged, hopefully up to about 6 years, it seems like, is what their goal is. And if you can get your hands on any picks, if anybody around you in Iowa is able to do a pick from Middle West and you see one, that's absolutely a pickup. But the rye, to me, is probably the best thing that they do. So it might be worth a pickup anyways. Joe, I haven't tried the rye yet. I might be able to get into it right now. I'd make a great Dracula. I'm white. I'm pale enough, huh? I got my hair cut today, and I shaved my face like 2 hours ago, so I look like I'm 12. Okay. What do you guys want to... What should I wrap up with? I can maybe do one, maybe two things if I squeeze in. I have Rare Breed Rye, Rare Breed Non-Chill Filtered, or this Russell's Single Barrel, which is actually a kind of... This is an infinity bottle of Russell's single barrel pick samples that have been sent to me. I just couldn't keep them all, so I just made an infinity bottle of Russell's single barrel samples. So what do you think? Last one or maybe two things before we jump off here. For the 76 of you in here, please hit that like button, of course. Yes, the Middle West Spirits pick that we were able to do is an incredible whiskey. They are making insane whiskey at Middle West Spirits, guys. Okay, I've got a couple of non-chill filtereds, Rare Breed Rye. What do you guys think? I need a few more comments for me to make this decision. Yeah, Roy, just if you have the opportunity, Roy, I can't remember exactly where you live, but if you have the opportunity to see a major orchestra or even whatever orchestra's in your area, go check it out. And if you need any recommendations on what program to go see, send me an email. Non-chill filtered. Everybody wants non-chill filtered. Let's do non-chill filtered. Since we are doing Rare Breed bourbon, makes sense. All right. Let's get into this. I've already done this comparison on a live stream, maybe two. But for those of you who weren't there, this is going to be interesting. Yeah, Mark, it's one of those things that you have to just ask why, like Rare Breed is such a whiskey enthusiast's bourbon that if one of us saw it get cloudy in the cold, I don't think we would give a shit, like, okay, it's cloudy, whatever. But I feel like your average drinker is not going to be picking up a Rare Breed at $40-$50. They're going to pick up a 101 instead, and you can chill filter that all day if you want, but leave the Rare Breed alone. All right, so let's check this thing out now. Jeb, I have not had the 12-year Asian market export. No, I really want one, but the secondary price is kind of prohibitive on that one for me. Wow, it's just... it's incredible to me, like the difference from the rare breed 2022 batch to then going to the 2020 and getting more blackberry, more of a dark chocolate note, a darker profile. That same difference is even more exacerbated from the 2020 batch now to the non-chill filtered version. It's just so full-bodied. It's insane. Let me put this thing front and center. Yeah. It just almost feels like there's some sort of like a dark fruit syrup in here. I kind of get that note on it, some MGP stuff. You know, like a dark blackberry grape syrup note. But where it really shines is on the palate. Like, wow. Yeah. It's strangely, I actually don't get as much funky oak on the non-chill filtered. And I'm not doing this blind. I've done this comparison before and I've never picked this up. I'm actually getting more of a turkey funk and that musty wood oak note on my 2020 rare breed. Yeah. But the non-chill filtered is it's humongous. You know, like the presence of the whiskey is humongous. Hendo, I haven't bought one yet. No, not yet. I need to go through all those links. I kind of got busy after we were talking earlier and haven't had a chance to slow down. Yeah. Oh, Jeff. Okay. You had the samples of them. Yeah. It's a wild difference. Look, if that's the difference truly of chill filtration, then it's a shame that anything is chill filtered. If that is the difference, I mean, we can never know what proportions of what age, you know, of what barrels went into these different blends. But the non-chill filtered is really a special whiskey. I'm going to go back to the 2020 now. Yeah, the palate is where it really stands out. What's kind of interesting is that I like a lot of the flavors in the 2020 batch subjectively a little bit better than some of the flavors in the non-chill filtered. It just really hits for my palate, those darker notes. But even subjectively with those flavor notes, there's no way that can even hold a candle to what's going on with the non-chill filtered in terms of overall presence, overall development on the palate. Yeah. Yeah, Roy, they might care about it, but again, like what newbie or new whiskey drinker is going to be picking up rare breed? Like not a lot of them, you know? So, all right, let me check the chat one last time. We're 35 minutes in, 71 still in here. Are the junkies live? Okay, I just got a notification that they're going live. So guys, head on over, check out the Bourbon Junkies tonight. Thanks for hanging on this stream. If you haven't liked this video already, before we go, please hit that like button. Overall, I need to answer the question before we jump off here, right? Which is rare breed overrated or still a great value? I will say, it seems that we are dealing with a little bit younger whiskey in the newer batch. And there is a lot of ethanol going on here. My market has rare breed at 50, and I'm never going to find it cheaper than that unless I go to Kentucky. The lowest I've seen it is about 38 or 40, usually about 42 or 44 in Kentucky. I'm going to say for now, it's still a good value. It's creeping the wrong way in terms of whiskey that's seemingly younger and a price that's, you know, very incrementally increasing. But we haven't jumped the ship like Booker's. All right. So I'm going to say this is still a great value with an asterisk next to that. And I'm going to say, let's check back in 2 years and see what the case is then. But what I need to do is I need to do a blind tasting with this newest batch of rare breed, because this is what it is now. This is what it is these days. I need to put this in a blind with things like 1920, not 1915, geez. and, you know, other comparable whiskeys in terms of proof and age and price in the market, and just see how it stacks up. I want to see if Rare Breed for me beats out a lot of whiskeys like it does for other tasters in blind flights. So thank you guys. Hey, Thursday night, yeah, $40. If it's $40, Roy, that's incredible. If you get up to 50 and above, that's when it starts to get kind of dicey for me in terms of calling it a great value. At that point, it's just like, it's just a value. It's a good value, you know, not great. What did I say, Joe? Did I say jump? Did I say jump ship? If I said ship and not shark, I'm an idiot. Okay, guys, Thursday night, 8 p.m., tasting Michter's 20. Holy crap, that's going to be incredible with Darrell Stewart. Keep an eye out for that. I'm going to try to get that thumbnail up tomorrow. And Thursday, I'm supposed to be getting a video up of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof A122 and B522 throwback review. That way I can get that C922 review up pretty soon thereafter. And that's going to be the plan. So, yeah, sorry, Joe. Cheers, guys. I'm going to wrap this up with a rare breed blend. R's and L's, mixing them up here. Cheers, and I will see you guys Thursday. Have a good rest of your night. Go check out the Bourbon Junkies.